5. It's all pledging. I guess we'll start with the Pledge of Allegiance. Flag's over there if you don't know. Ready? I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. Thank you. 2, acceptance of the last meeting's minutes. I sent everybody an email telling you that I have no printer right now. I cannot print anything. I sent you all copies, including Kyle, copies of the agenda and copies of the last, I can't say you guys, copies of the last minutes. Are we willing to vote to accept them?
I'll make that motion.
I will second that motion.
All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Guess it's unanimous. That brings us to the one real article in today's meeting. An update discussion on 169 Ramsor Road, the Octagon House. You want to say anything, or you want me to say something?
I can give a brief update. I guess for the purposes tonight, Mr. Chair, although Secretary. In May, I sent a letter, and I hope that everyone did receive it, with an update for a number of reasons. One, there was a fence that was put up around the building. One of the biggest concerns for the owners was the safety of the neighborhood, particularly the police and the fire department. So as soon as humanly possible, there was a fence that was put up. The X's were put around. So hopefully there's no access. There have been times where the owners have gone to the property even with the fence and have noticed that it appears that maybe people have been trying to gain access, but it doesn't appear that the fence had been cut or anything along those lines for people to be inside of the building. So, people are safe, which is great. The other request that we had is that we wanted to work with the Historical Commission. I had been in communication with Jonathan Andrulevich Ramco to see if he could have some communication or think of some ideas, as he has worked with the Historical Commission in the past, to try to come up with some creative solutions if we couldn't find a prospective buyer. It was always the goal to list the property for sale. In the initial letter that I had sent out, we were going to be listing the property for around $287,000, which was the appraised or assessed value of the property per the assessor's office. Knowing that would not be fetching a buyer in this market, the sellers did drop that down by over $100,000, and they have had the property listed for $185,000 since June. Since June, there has been little to no engagement with prospective buyers. There was a total of 4 showings. There was one individual who indicated some slight willingness to make an offer. No offers were ever made in the property. And following visitations of the actual site, there was no offers. There was only a few people who even wanted to be on site, and once they saw the true work that needed to be done, including the demolition of the rear portion, the acknowledgement of the oil in the basement that still needs to be tested to make sure that it's not a DEP qualifying event. There's just been
right now, just for clarification, are you selling the house with the land or trying to have it moved?
half of the land was being bifurcated.
Okay.
Yep. More than happy to have the building itself moved, and we've even indicated such that if there was a group that was willing to remove the building, and that would appease the Historical Commission, that the sellers are willing to do so. Just need to make sure that whatever group is willing to do that would be also willing to assume the liability. There had been in the demolition reports indications that there was asbestos that needed to be remediated at the demolition, and a couple of other potential hazards that we've already brought in experts to make sure if my clients are demolishing the building, that can be handled. One of those, the paramount again, was the basement. So we did have the specialists come in, take a look at it. They indicated that what they would need to do in order to again confirm their thought that it's not a DEP qualifying event, they would need to remove part of the foundation, and with that, you know, the removal of that portion of the foundation would require intensive labor. And in their letter, which again I did submit to the board, they indicated that, you know, potentially the safest way to do that would actually be through demolition of the upper portion of the building. It was the request of the board to try to get a structural engineer in there. The project manager that we spoke to indicated that it wouldn't really be necessary to have a structural engineer because it's clear at least 50% of the building needs to come down, and likely additional would need to. And again, that letter was included in our May filing. Trying to think if there's an additional update. Oh, yes, so initially the building inspector indicated that he wanted to have the rear of the building removed immediately. The individuals we spoke to within the demolition stated that that would not quite be possible without fear of demolishing the front of the portion. And we didn't want to do that for, you know, fear that we broke the moratorium and, you know, the consequences that may have come with that. So the entire building is remaining until the conclusion of the moratorium or until we can come up with a creative solution for such. I know in the past, I do know in the past that I do know in the past that when there was properties that have been demolished within the Blackstone Valley area that's preserved up there, you know, the individuals, either the demolition team or the owners, have made efforts to try to save parts of the building that were historical in nature. My clients, again, would be willing to attempt to do that in the safest manner possible if demolition is granted prior to the end of the moratorium period. I know that the members of the Historical Commission that did tour there indicated that the floors look nice. The flooring may be something that could be removed, as it, you know, does not directly touch the asbestos or any of the other products. Go ahead, David. I'm sorry, I'm just rambling at this juncture.
That house was built in the 1850s. There's 100% chance that any surface that's been painted has lead in it.
Yeah.
The lead paint wasn't removed from, in general, I'll make a caveat that there's still a layout to use lead paint to paint bridges. So if you ever near a bridge that's being stripped of
Just be
it's
aware.
got lead in it, try not to breathe. But in terms of household and everything, they only removed it from paint in 1970.
Mm-hmm.
So any house that's older than 1970 probably has lead in it. A house that was built in 1850 definitely has lead in it.
Unless it was
If the
properly
floors were originally
remediated.
painted, they have lead. Walls that were painted have lead. Exterior definitely has lead. Window frames have lead. Window glazing is probably just white lead,
Yeah.
depending on if they replaced it at any point in the history of the building. The original stuff would have been pure white lead paste. So it's got lead. I mean, I don't see any way that it couldn't have lead unless somebody went in there after 1970 and stripped it without letting anybody know.
And yeah, and I couldn't find any record that there was an abatement done in the building.
I can't imagine. The people that owned it, it's probably still got the 1850s paint.
You were in the building. I
On the
think you're.
surface.
Yeah, I think you might be right.
Anyway, just to clarify that, you've got lead. And as far as I can tell, the tiles on the kitchen floor on the second floor of the building are 8 by 8 inch. That's a 99%
Black and white
indication
asbestos.
that that's got asbestos in it. Non-asbestos tiles are usually 12 by 12. Just
Yep. And that's
historical fact.
I
And that
like
was-
it.
and that was marked in the demolition
Yeah,
request
I
that
know.
was filed with the town.
And I'm guessing that's why even the building inspector hasn't pushed to have it taken down. Because the remediation is going to be extremely expensive. And, you know, it's going to be hazmat suits and that stuff. A lot of fun.
And the demolition, again, we've been working with the demolition team in expectation that likely we would have to wait out the moratorium for a period of a year, which brings us to the point of today's meeting and the request.
Yeah.
I did indicate via email that what we're looking for is to try to find a creative solution. And I don't know if there's any part of the building that can be salvaged to appease the historical commission, but it does appear that we are not going to find a bona fide purchaser for value, or even, quite frankly, even if this property was listed for $0, it would be very challenging for an individual to go in there and be able to remediate the issues that are existing right now, particularly with the state of the exterior of the rear and even the octagon home.
Sorry, I have to take notes at the same time.
It's,
Multitasking.
Yeah.
the town bylaw would allow for the historical commission to grant an earlier end to the moratorium if they felt that well, I'm gonna call you guys sellers, because at this juncture, it doesn't appear that you're going to be able to hold onto the property without demolishing it. The sellers have made a bona fide effort to try to find a buyer. And it's been nearly impossible, particularly in this climate where, the interest rates.
Can I ask another question?
Go ahead.
How much did you pay for it? You got a bank auction, right?
Correct. Yeah. Yeah. Just over $90,000 when it was all said and done, legal fees and the like.
I just needed that for, I'll explain. I've been trying to get some more information on the property, but with the new town hours and everything, and the fact that I've been tied up all the last 2 weeks with the Woodstock there, I have not been able to talk to the assessor to get the information, so that's
Yeah.
why I'm asking you guys. But that's what I remember, it's about 90,000.
Yeah.
I'm gonna say, anybody else wanna speak to this first?
I made an inspection. I'm telling you, there's no expertise at all, but the eyeball, it's in tough shape. No question about that. Yeah, megabucks need to be used to handle what you're looking at there. So if you've got a dump truck loaded with money, just dump it right there. That would be the.
I think you need to win the
It
megabucks.
just, like I said, I'm no expert, but it looks overwhelming in terms of what would be needed money-wise to get that operating.
The majority of the structure of the property, when we were doing the walkthrough inspection, I did not feel comfortable entering. So we limited ourselves to, if you
I walked
recall.
around and loved the property. It really
It's a
neat
great
property.
location, great location.
But boy, that's in tough shape.
I know.
That's in tough shape.
Anybody else wanna say anything? Patty, you wanna say anything? No? You?
No,
All right, I will say a couple things, and the first one's probably gonna be very disappointing. Since we don't have a proper chair or vice chair here, I don't think we can make any kind of a vote today.
we don't have.
I would say that after this discussion, the last thing on our agenda is to set our next meeting. I'm guessing it's probably gonna be November, and we could more likely make a decision. I will send you an email, courtesy email, letting you know when that meeting is gonna be.
Yep.
We'll inform you guys, because I don't have your email,
And
which is okay.
And in the meantime, again,
Have his.
we're happy to try to be creative. It's just
know
the
that.
state of the property is such that it's impossible to do so. And it would have behooved my clients if it were possible, but it's not.
Yeah. I'm gonna say a couple things, besides the fact, like I said, I'm still recording notes, because it's my job too. Okay. One, and I'm saying this because it's being recorded, and I just wanna make it clear. You are your client's advocate. We are the Town Historical Commission. Your job is to find the best possible solution for your clients. Our job is to preserve Dudley's history to the best we are able, on site if possible, for as long as we are able. That doesn't mean I want to push the moratorium. It just means that unfortunately for you guys, your financial well-being is not our concern. I hate saying that, it sounds really cruel, but it isn't. Our job is to preserve Dudley's history. So having said that, just for the record, I will sit here at this meeting and admit that property's tough. It's a pain. I would make one request, that, and I'm not even suggesting that you accept, but I'm asking that you put the property or offer the property to somebody like Lamakia Realty or We Buy Ugly Houses. The reason I'm asking that is they're flippers. They will give you a really good idea of what they think that property is worth, given the cost to remediate it, renovate it, and sell it. Now, to me, that would be part of a bona fide effort to, from our point of view, save the property. If you guys did that, and I'm not saying if they offer you $3,000, accept it, I'm not. But I'm just saying, I think that would help clear the air about how really desperate that building is and whether we should end the moratorium or not. Does that sound reasonable to you guys? It's just one more confirmation of how.
I don't believe it does, because again, I've talked to flippers about this property.
Okay.
I've approached Jonathan Andrulevich, who again is the president of Ramco, who also flips homes. I've spoken to other individuals who are in the real estate community. I myself, on my day job, close real estate transactions on a daily basis, so I'm surrounded by realtors. I've spoken heavily with realtors. The property is listed with, is it Keller and Sadowski? Keller and Sadowski, which is, again, one of the largest real estate firms in the entire state for commercial and residential properties. There's, the barometer of interest is borderline zero. You have properties that are being listed now at this rate, knowing that you need to do a ton of work, and they're getting people to visit the site. In the span of close to 4.5 months, almost 5 months, sorry, my apologies, 3.5 months, there have only been 4 individuals who have even wanted to see the property. And of those, there were individuals who were flippers. There was, I believe, a partnership that once they saw the property, completely walked away. These are professional individuals who are lined up to do this. We can maybe speak. I don't know if you want us to get a written report from a broker or a realtor, but the barometer is next to zero.
Yeah, I'm not surprised, but I still think that having that would be,
Would seal the deal.
what I'm trying
would an
to say is
appraiser,
that the vested interests in this property aren't just you and us. And for us to shorten the moratorium and allow for demolition, this means there's going to be a couple of constituents in this town that need convincing. And I think coming back and saying, even people who plan on flipping the house have no interest in it.
Sorry, Mr.
ahead.
Chair. That occurred a year ago when there was an auction.
Right.
So there was a bank auction that occurred prior to even knowing the issues with the building. So at a bank auction, the highest payer was $90,000.
Yeah, I'm not.
Now that they know of these issues, there may not be anybody.
Great. Well, I can't vote on it today because I can't legally hold a vote. Like I said, I'm hoping our next meeting will be in November, 2 months. I'll see what we can do. But it's tough.
Now, if, my thought really, if the zero flip interest, if zero flip interest exists,
How do we get
I
that?
know how we go on that.
Okay. And I agree with you. I just think that, we just have to follow the legal, our remit as a committee. We just have to follow the forms.
Yep. We
Like I said, I
understand.
can't vote tonight anyway because there's no legal chair here. But
So,
we did have the discussion. It's recorded.
yep.
We will meet again and as a committee, and that'll be the first thing that I bring up. I will send you an email letting you know when that meeting's gonna be if you choose to attend. The public's allowed to attend anyway, so we don't need a special anything for you guys to come. So
And you-
hopefully it'll be November.
In your opinion, if we get, I don't want to say letters, but if we get opinions from different professionals in the
help a lot.
flipping business,
Sure, it
Would.
would assist,
I mean,
absolutely.
you've already made a pretty strong case that the house isn't going anywhere. Back, if I were one of your neighbors, that house would have been down months ago. I'm not. And unfortunately, an 1850s octagon house is one of the rare styles of houses that exist. As far as I can tell from their website, there's only a couple hundred of them in the whole country.
What website is that?
There's a website for octagon houses. I don't know off the top of my head what its exact name is, but if you go to Google and type in octagon houses, it should come up. According to, having said that, I will also admit that that particular 169 Ramshaw Road house was not on their list. So, but they were talking a few hundred. There aren't thousands, not even a few thousand, not even 1,000 octagon houses surviving in the United States. They're a very peculiar house from a very peculiar time period, and as such, they're a major historic relic. It kills me it would kill me to give permission to take that house down.
And it was only 20 to 30 years, right, that these octagon houses were being built within that span of time?
The earliest ones I can find are around 1830. The latest ones are in the 1860s. So yeah, 30, 40 years.
And there was a president that also stayed in one when the White House burned down for a short temporary stay.
It's like I said, we're the Dudley Historical Commission. Our job is to preserve history, and that is history, but it's not our job to butt our heads against the wall in an untenable situation. So I will talk to Ed. I will see when if he feels up to it. Might be even earlier, I don't know. I can't promise anything, but we'll set a meeting and I'll probably bring it up and make a decision, I hope.
if not, we wait until April, I suppose.
Well, April's not that, well, it's far enough away. I know it's tying up you guys tremendously, but, can I be a real B word, say caveat emptor? If not you, it would have been somebody else. Same position, same place where you're sitting in the same conundrum. It isn't you guys, it's the situation. Anybody else have anything to say?
So,
You wanna kick me in the-
emphasis, get that flip thing straightened out, and,
We'll bring some letters.
yeah.
Documentation always helps.
Yeah. I've been trying to supply you guys with documentation throughout the
Yeah,
past couple of months.
I'm really sorry that this is dragging out, but I was here, not on the board, but I was here when Nichols College tore the 1805 house down. And I remember what that battle was like. In fact, that's one of the big reasons I'm having so much trouble with 169 Ramshaw Road. Is, I spent 30 years at Old Sturbridge Village, and history is in my blood. I ran their timber framing program for 20 years. houses are in my blood. I live in a house that was built before 1830. I just almost can't bring myself to see that house coming down. On the same token, I know what it's like to beat your head against a brick wall. I don't want to do that either, and I don't want you guys to have to do it. So, we'll meet again, and hopefully there'll be somebody here who can chair a vote, and we'll see what happens.
We appreciate your
That's the
time
best
today.
Best I can promise.
Thank you.
Thank you guys for
Any
coming.
questions from any of the members, please feel free to email me.
Yeah.
Thank you all.
I'm gonna be a few minutes right.
Good luck. Go get 'em.
Have a good night, everyone.
Yeah.
Thank you.
What?
Could these people have been informed that there would be no vote taken tonight? Before the meeting?
I thought I did.
Oh, I don't know, I'm just,
I'm pretty sure they knew there was gonna be no vote.
oh.
I didn't know,
Okay. You know, that.
the last time I talked to Ed, he told me Butch would chair the meeting. If Butch had been here, we could have done something.
Could we? But,
He's the vice chair.
I know, no, I know, but we'd have a quorum then?
We have a quorum now.
Oh, okay,
There's only 2 people missing. Well,
Okay.
three missing.
yeah.
But, what was I writing?
I'm sorry to interrupt.
That's okay.
We're not, are we still, you still recording?
Yeah.
Karen, Patty, have you taken a ride over there and
Yeah,
walked around a little bit?
yeah, I went
She came with
inside,
us.
yeah, I went
I
inside.
didn't get out, I cheated.
The inside of the house, I mean, I live in a house that was built in 1860, and, you know, so this house apparently is older, but I saw a lot of, in my own, you know, I'm not an expert by any means, but I saw a lot of potential with the house. It's unfortunate that there's other factors to take in terms of, you know,
Yeah.
rendering it an appropriate place
Yeah, I
to
think it's-
reside. That's
No,
really a
I'm
shame.
just shooting from the hip, but it looks
Yeah,
astronomical.
yeah, it would, I
terms
would,
of, dollars.
I would imagine, yes, it would,
Somebody biting on that would be a tough.
My
road.
opinion, and I gave it to the engineer that was there, I gave it to them, I gave it to the building inspector and everybody. The back of the house can come down.
yeah, that's very
It
dangerous.
should come down.
Yeah,
Oh, is that bad?
The back of the octagon will have a big hole in it when they do, because those
Yeah.
2 walls were removed. These walls could be replaced. That, of all the things that have to do to make that house livable, replacing those 2 back walls would be the cheapest.
yeah,
It needs a new roof. It probably needs a new heating system.
oh,
Definitely needs a new
definitely,
heating
yeah.
system. It has asbestos, it has lead, it has an oil spill in the basement.
Well,
I don't really know a hard,
any house you purchase
but I mean,
of a historical nature is gonna have lead in it.
well,
My
like I
house
said,
has lead.
any house built before 1970
Right.
has lead in it. So
Yeah.
there it is.
Contact this old house.
Um, I don't know, I lost a lot of faith in those guys a long time ago.
Oh, really?
It strikes me, starting with a renovation of a barn that ended up being tearing it down and completely rebuilding it from scratch. This is back when I was still at the village, and I knew the people who tore it down and rebuilt it. As far as I'm concerned, this old house is mostly interested in putting modern stuff into old buildings. They're not particularly interested in preserving the historical aspects of them. That's me. I am not the god of renovation. I am not. But I do know a bunch of things, and one of the things I know is this house is, it would be,
Who is one of the top renovators? I mean, like a name? I don't know any.
well, there's a guy I know out toward Springfield named Don Paskey. who does renovation. There's a guy out in, the Berkshires named David Lanui, who, he doesn't exactly renovate. He takes barns down and turns them into houses.
I always wanted to live in a barn. I started on a soap
Well, I know a
opera
guy
once
named-
years ago.
I know a guy in Casanova, New York that does the same thing.
Oh,
For about 20 years, I've belonged to the Timber Framers Guild of North America. I know a lot of the guys that do timber frame stuff, but modern timber frame and antique timber frame aren't the same. They're not at all. They weren't built to the same types of conditions. Nobody would particularly want to live in a house as it was built in the early 1800s, early 1700s.
they really didn't get any type of professional advice before they bought this thing.
Apparently not.
No, and they didn't really look at it either.
No,
They said that they hadn't looked at it.
Yeah.
Really?
Yeah, it was a bank auction. So it's
Yeah,
unfortunate.
How I'm buying them, yeah. Risky business.
Kind of got stuck.
Yeah, risky business.
Yeah, I feel real sorry for them.
Yeah. I think this was their first,
Yeah,
like,
they-
venture to,
They're like newlyweds,
are they?
in a couple of years, and this is their first attempt at getting a house. And they thought they could get one in a bank auction for a lot less than
They
they
didn't
could
have
on the
a
market. But they got
wise
burned.
elder to guide them. No,
I think, but the way they explained it was the way that it was set up when you approach the property, on the higher end by the street is where I guess they had it set up, where you.
they didn't let anybody walk around?
So, no, apparently not, but and not that, I don't know whether, I don't know how those sales go, but, I just think that probably some of it is due to, inexperience.
Oh,
And you
sure.
can't,
Well, I did the same thing.
you bought a house,
Yeah.
bank auction?
No, we bought it from the owners. But I did something that they didn't do, which is I got an inspector.
Oh, definitely.
And I would say
no.
never, ever, ever buy a house that's more than like brand new. Actually, I'll remember
Even
that.
brand new.
Even a house that was just finished. There have been many of them where, I remember a story of one house where somebody bought it and then found out they couldn't go upstairs because the different distance from the floor treads to the ceiling of the stairwell was like 4.5 feet. If you were over 4 feet tall, you couldn't walk up those stairs standing straight.
Oh,
You would have had to bend over.
God.
somebody didn't measure
Somebody
correctly.
somebody was saving space.
Oh,
Their priority was more floor footage, and one way to get more floor footage was to cut the space in the stairwell.
but that's not code, right? Oops.
There's a lot of not code out there, I'm sorry.
Yeah, that's true.
Anyway, that covers
We were
that.
looking at houses years ago. I remember my dad telling me, you go to look at a house either during a heavy rain or right after.
Oh.
Yep. Yeah.
And it's a good thing we listened to that because there was a house in Dudley. I walked out the kitchen door out to the backyard and I sunk up to my knees.
Oh.
The leach field or whatever,
Oh, my
Mhm.
Oh,
God.
yeah.
Oh, mine gets wet.
What?
My basement gets wet.
Yeah, but you can walk in your backyard without seeing,
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
But I also never
Well,
replaced.
you have a fieldstone, I do too, and the first time ever that I saw it get wet was this past July.
Oh, with all the rain,
bad rain,
yeah.
I thought it was my, washing machine. I called, I had the repairman come. He said, you don't have a leak. He said, I said, what? How dumb I am.
I have I don't know if you ever seen my house,
Where is it?
Perryville, the blue one. Corner of Perry Lane,
I have to look when I go by, because I go down
Corner
LB.
of Perry Lane.
Perryville Road and Perry Lane.
Down
Blue house.
Schofield Ave?
Right off Schofield Avenue, just before you get to Connecticut. I can look out my back window and see the French River. I'm right on top of it.
Oh,
But I have a stone wall that's level with Perry Lane and drops 2 feet to my foundation, which is this far away. I can just get a lawnmower through there. I had a section in front of my kitchen walk paved. And the first storm after that, it was the river going down that stone wall and down into the cell.
Oh, wow, wow.
Okay, question. If I'm on Route 12
Yep,
and I take that first left, the left into Perryville,
yep. Fourth house on the left.
first house?
Fourth.
Fourth, okay.
Yeah.
I'll pay attention next time.
It's Harry Allard. I don't know this guy's name. He's a carpenter. There's a new black family that went, it used to be Plaza. There's an empty lot, Perry Lane, my house, and Brian La Prima has a little Miles home where the auto body used to be. And then if you go up, there's 4 more houses on Perry Lane.
Check that out.
2, 3, 4, and 5. 1, 2, 3, 4. I don't know. But there's 4 of them that are a little bit smaller than mine. Mine's the only one in Perryville that's like it. All the others are a different style. It also was the one that Perry owned.
Yeah, I end up in that neighborhood sometimes. I'll pay
Yeah.
attention this time.
Trying to get from Dudley to Webster or vice versa. It's hard not to now with
Yeah.
Brandon Road being closed.
Yeah.
Unless you want to go down Main Street or up through North Village
Mm.
Yeah.
or down into Connecticut,
Right.
across Wilsonville Road.
Yep.
Yeah, but I mean, you go up to the other end of Perryville, it's M&M excavated.
Right, sure.
Yeah, on the Dudley end,
Yep.
fourth house in. Easy to find, as long as you don't use your GPS.
Well,
If you use your
I don't
GPS,
even
you'll end up
know
in
my
Webster.
GPS.
if anyone's interested in trolleys,
Yeah.
we'll be doing a trolley program at the Slater Museum.
Oh,
Yeah.
really?
Thursday night, October 26th. It's going to be, we have some terrific pictures of Old Webster on the
Oh,
Webster
yeah?
Dudley trolley. We're gonna take the entire line. We're gonna cover the whole trolley system.
Wow, that's
Yeah,
great.
it started in 1898.
October what, 24th?
6.
26th.
What,
October
what
26th.
time?
6:30 at the Slater. We worked pretty hard. Webster Dudley Historical
Yeah.
Society, and I'm
What's it called?
being an old school teacher. I do the presentation.
Is there a title for the program?
Yeah, the Webster Dudley trolley system. Yep.
Wow, that's great. I remember seeing pictures of trolley on Main Street.
Yeah,
Pretty
well,
cool.
you're going to see quite a few pictures.
Yeah.
And what they would see out the window. So it'll be a virtual tour.
Wow.
Wow.
You'll be going by building structures from the 1900s. And of course, Perryville,
The
right
brick
up
house,
there,
the
the,
building, trolley house.
Wow,
The,
that'll be something to see.
that
Thanks.
was the substation
Yeah.
for the Webster
You
Dudley.
do know that the
I'm sorry?
trolley right-of-way goes all the way through.
Absolutely. Yeah, I
I've walked
biked
it a
it.
million times. Now you can't. They
Yeah,
got the-
I saw it, I went
They
down
got the
there.
part after Wilsonville Road blocked.
But I also saw no trespassing, and when I did it years ago, there was no signage, and I biked.
No, the gate was forced open, was wide open. And I've taken my dog down there and walked all the way to
Buckley Hill.
Buckley Hill Road and I
Yeah.
rode it. And it actually goes past that. If you go past on Buckley Hill, there's sort of like a gray, I don't know what you would call it, building. I think it has the asphalt shingle type siding on it. It curves around that, ends up going behind the town hall and behind
Right,
Turtle Eye.
yep,
Yeah. It's a
yeah.
long right of way. It's not quite as long as. the
Well,
other.
it would extend down Putnam and eventually to Plainfield and
Mhm.
that whole thing.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Oh, that's gonna be very interesting.
I think so. I'm pretty good on Webster's history. And we'll point out a few things to you along the way if you show up.
Yeah. Well, it's my daughter's birthday, but
She'll
we'll
love it.
negotiate.
She'll love it.
We'll drag her along.
Program will be.
Anybody wanna go home?
I'm sorry?
Anybody wanna go home? You can. Wanna set a meeting? We had, back in, what was our last meeting, August?
No,
No,
July?
July,
June.
June, back in June, we had voted to move our meeting date to the first
First Tuesday of the
Tuesday of the month to get rid of her conflict with the Grange, which is on the second Tuesday of the
It's
month.
too active, that's just.
Ed kind of forgot about it too, that's one reason why it's not.
Okay, so first Tuesday,
First Tuesday in, we wanna go November?
I'll be in Florida.
We'll
My,
need-
the Air Force guy, I'll be a sponsor at my grandson's
Oh, nice.
confirmation, so
Oh,
that would be
nice.
fine, but I would not be in attendance.
So it'd be what, October, November, I don't know, I don't have a calendar with me.
Well, the first Tuesday in November is the 7th.
It is?
Look at November, because, yeah,
Oh, okay, I take that back, I would be back by
We're going in October.
then. Leaving in October, but returning in November.
But before the
But
7th.
for some reason, I'm thinking, geez, I thought the first Tuesday, maybe it would.
it is because
Okay.
November 1st is on a
Non-issue.
Wednesday.
I will not be in Florida.
So
Okay,
the first-
6:30, November 7th, 6:30 PM. I will confirm with Ed.
Hey, guys, don't forget the Apple Festival, the end of the month,
30th.
September 30th, 10 to 3, up
It's
on Dudley
also-
Hill.
It's also the Black Tavern yard sale.
Yep,
And we're gonna do tradesmen on the common.
yep,
I got 6 people coming in
yeah.
costume, demonstrating trades in front of the church.
When is this?
September 30th.
I'll be in Minnesota.
The reason we went to September instead of October is because the first Saturday in October is Columbus Day.
The weekend, so.
So we moved it a week earlier.
Yeah.
Or the Grange did and the rest of us followed suit.
Yes. When is the next program at the Black Tavern?
21st,
20-something, yeah.
Yeah,
It's,
21st.
it's
They're-
Bob Ducharme talking about Dudley Hill.
yeah. And
On the 19th is the memories of growing up in Dudley, 50s and 60s.
When is that?
The
oh,
19th,
That's of October.
19th of October?
September.
I
Oh,
think it's
September.
Are you sure?
19th?
Why,
So I think it's Ed Bassinet's.
well, the 21st
it is the 19th of September.
is when you're doing the,
The
when they're doing
19th
the.
for sure. Several people have asked me
Dudley
about
and the
it.
19th.
Okay, I will
1900s.
attend
That's what I
that.
thought.
Yeah, that's
I
what
know a lot of
I-
people,
I'm
I know a lot
confused now.
of people say,
You
yeah,
got
I'll
me
be there.
confused. I think, and this is me thinking, that Ducharme is doing September, that Bassinet is doing the 50s and 60s in October, and I'm doing November.
What are you doing in November?
I am doing a thing titled Cummins Right Early Nerd. And I'm not explaining it.
Okay.
Come and see it.
Call Bob
I'm gonna
Duchamp.
be doing a
It's good.
program for them.
If you go by, the first program is posted on the porch at the Black Tavern,
What,
as we speak.
what are you gonna be
I'll
doing?
be doing a program on the Grand Trunk from the Larry Lowenthal, who wrote the book,
Yep.
spoke there. I was his guide through Webster and Dudley, so all his photos and everything were
Oh,
identified.
wonderful.
Yeah, I took him through the whole area.
I know him.
But this is gonna be more of a local thing, and I'm gonna have a map that will trace this and photos to go along with
Oh,
it.
good.
So if you're interested in the old Grand Truck,
Oh, yeah.
You can't walk all of it.
in the spring,
that?
no, you can't, but in the spring of, this coming
2024,
spring.
okay.
Okay.
Yeah, we don't have a date nailed yet.
You can do it
When
later.
when will you get how will you get that out? To the paper, newspaper?
The Black Tavern,
Oh,
in the
they're
book.
Oh,
advertising.
okay, you're gonna do it, okay.
Yeah, that'll be,
In the spring,
yeah.
Well, I'll look for
probably
that.
March or April. No,
The calendar in the Black Tavern absolutely says September 19th, growing up in Dudley.
okay,
50s and
that's
60s.
Ed Bassinet's talk.
Or whoever it is, I know it's on the 19th.
Okay,
I've seen it in the, I've told several people because it's listed in the Black Tavern News,
okay.
so.
Well, I'm not, I'm just what I remember Bob saying is that he's doing September and Ed's doing.
I remember
50s and
reading.
60s
Unless
months in
they
October.
changed it. I mean, you know, it could be,
They could have flipped it,
it
sure.
could be a movable feast.
I remember
know.
reading about it.
7:20, can I close the meeting?
Yep,
Anybody, I need a motion and a second.
motion.
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
7:20. Thank you very much.